Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I bring you today is called Northland Bay. I painted this this week, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty good. It's featuring a scene not far from me here. You know, I live close to a bay called Fongaree Bay. I could have called it Fongaree Bay, but I don't really like too specific of a title. And my advice to you is avoid that as well. It's maybe good depending on where you are. Like if you're in a major tourist zone, like maybe you're a painter living by Mount Rushmore, painting those guys. Yeah, call it Mount Rushmore by moonlight or something. Otherwise, I've seen it cost me sales before. Someone goes, "Where's this?" And I go, "Da da 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 da," and they go, "Oh, okay." You know, where they liked it enough to ask about it. You know. Anyway, a couple of my so when I set out to do a painting, I had some ideas about things I want to do. Of course, I have a reference image. Now you can make paintings without reference images. I find they get very samey. You need something to riff off. I think you do, but maybe you're the type of person who doesn't. I know there's an artist out around Chicago, tonalist, pretty well known, and I don't want to name names because but he's great. I'm not taking anything away from the guy, but he'll start by just taking some colors like a phthalo green and a burnt umber or something like that, and a lot of spirits, or maybe it's spirits, or it could be oil, and just swishing around on the canvas until a landscape makes itself known. And that's neat. I mean, that's fine. It's not going to work for me. I'm not going to criticize it here either because it's not that hard to guess who I might be referring to. But what I would say is it's you got to have something though. Like and I like to have a photo, and a lot of times most of the time, if not all of the time, I manipulate that photo pretty extensively, and not just I like to do that in my home office. But when I get it in the studio and get it on my little laptop there, other things will jump out at me. And so one of the things about painting is it's a constant, first of all, it's a very intellectual activity. It's very mind driven, and ideas come to you, concepts. There's a lot of remembering, but in my case the remembering usually isn't. It's more instinctive remembering, just based on lots and lots of repetition. Doing a lot of paintings, things you remember don't work. So you don't actually have to sit there and actively with your mind go, okay, don't do this, okay, don't do that. There is some of that as well. But if you're relying on that, that's say you listen to one of my videos, you made a few notes, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Oh, very good, you're applying yourself and trying to learn and get better. However, you're going to need to sit down and do a bunch of painting in order for you to get that muscle memory. That's so essential, and I stress this all the time in the channel, so I won't belabor the point now. I had some other briefs, like, okay, in the sky, a lot of times this is gray clouds, a little bit of blue. A lot of times what you'll see me do is I start bringing in a bunch of other subtle colors. It still reads as like a gray sky, kinda. What kind of colors did I bring in? Well, okay, what did I use here? That's probably the main thing. So I used the phthalo blue. I used, really recommend that you use some yellow. Yellow ochre is a great sky color. Yellow ochre, sky blue. I used some black. I used raw umber. And I used white, and that is it. So when I'm extending that for, say, a more extended kind of gray sky palette, alizarin crimson comes in right off the bat. It makes kind of these subtle, cool pinks that you can fold into the grays. Another good one is burnt sienna. It does the same thing, but in a warmer way. Orange, I don't think I used any orange in this painting, but when I use orange in the sky, if it's not a sunset, it's to take advantage of its complementary properties to blue. So one of my tricks a lot of time is I'll paint in all the blue sky first, and then it's time to switch to the gray. I'll just kind of stick my brush in some orange, and I already have a complementary gray on my brush, so it avoids a lot of cleaning of the brush, basically. But there's orange is a great color for skies, and you can bring it in subtly. In a lot of ways, it's maybe interchangeable in some cases with yellow ochre, but yellow ochre is better because for skies, for gray skies with blue, with your white and gray type clouds with some blue, yellow ochre is the way to go, because the yellow ochre can come into the white and give it that warm. Oh, hey, what's this? It's my book. You know what? If you don't have this book already and you follow this channel, you really should just go ahead and order it. I think you really will enjoy it. And you can get it for $60 US. That includes international shipping. And I'll get it out to you. Usually I go to the post office once a week, but I'll get it to you. And you'll have it, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Anyway, just talking about colors and sky colors. So, you can do skies all day long with yellow ochre. I don't think it matters what kind of blue. You can use phthalo blue, ultramarine blue. I've been using Prussian blue a lot. I very much enjoy Prussian blue. To me, it's kind of a version of phthalo, is how I think of it. But phthalo is a lot more flexible. Phthalo is in some ways more neutral. Phthalo will give you greens all day long, but Prussian kind of leans that way a bit, if you know what I'm saying. So the other kind of brief that more materialized as I was doing the painting was that I wanted to have a feeling like of moisture in the air, and so this was in the foliage area, which you just now see me working on. I did work in some black first, just to go over areas. Now, when I did the drawing, by the way, a lot of people are new to the channel, so by the way, if you're new or you're coming around all the time, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and go ahead and if you can hit the like right now, that really helps the channel, because it lets the robot algorithm know that people are digging it, and that maybe it should be suggested to other people that might dig it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I had this idea in the foliage. Okay, so usually I will start with a black, or a lot of times I'll put some burn umber in the black. It just kind of speeds up the drying time a little bit, and it's okay to have a bit of that reddish quality. It still reads as black, or very dark. In the old days I used to use chromatic black, but that's a topic for another video. And then I go from a dark green to a middle green to a light green. But when you just say dark green, middle green, light green, what does that mean? The truth is that we as humans are capable of perceiving a very, very, very huge array of different green colors. So and this, a lot of times, say maybe in my light green I like to bring in a little orange or yellow ochre or cad yellow. Any of these will give you different effects. In this case, though, like I mentioned, I want to have that kind of rainy sort of feeling. Like, not that it's raining, but it just finished raining, or it's been raining, or the clouds have just moved a bit. And you can see there's not like strong direct sunlight on any of these trees, so this is sort of an overcast kind of scene, but not 100% that way. I think I really did a pretty good job of getting that feeling of moisture in it, and so much of that was being conveyed by the approach to the greens. So kept things a little cool, in the darker greens. A lot of times I might throw in alizarin crimson. I kind of held back off of that a little bit. Went with a little phthalo or perylene black, which is really a green. In fact, I use perylene a lot here. Of course, the Mike's green, but when I moved the Mike's green along, I used things like permanent green light, which, when you look at it, it's kind of like the color of that streak of grass there. It's very kind of bright, and like that's obviously way more muted. But it has that feeling, very strong, but it tends towards coolness because it's comprised of acrylide yellow and phthalo green. That's what's in a tube of permanent green light. And for the most part, by the way, I mean, I've discussed this on the channel before, but I know information about color goes down pretty good. People are curious about it. Most of the colors on my palette are single colors. They're not, unless I make them myself. So the only hybrids on my palette are the permanent green light, the Mike's green color, which is acrylite yellow, and either ivory black or lamp black. They work pretty much interchangeably for me. And then the Mike's gray, which is just ivory black or lamp black with you know, titanium white. And there I tend to use titanium whites that are more not the pure titanium like I get from Gamblin, which is very, very opaque. They tend to have a little bit, they've been adulterated with that zinc. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my other brief, is in the greens. I didn't want to go too hot in any of the lights. I didn't want to go too much into oranges and things like that, which for a regular daylight scene would be my go-to in the light green areas. Something like cad orange is brilliant. Cad yellow, of course, will give you, lemony kinds of greens, right? Depending on how much you add. It's brilliant, and I use it all the time. But those greens that you get from adding cad yellow tend to be a little more on the cool side, I would say. Anyway, so there was some restraint there. There was a restraint in not pushing the highlights in the foliage too far, which gave us a bit more of an overcast feeling, right? That's why I've called the painting Northland Bay After the Rain. Yes, because it's got that feeling. And also the other thing about this scene is that it's tied out. Now, I've driven by this scene lots of times, and I always see that little tree, the little kind of rounded tree that's at the end of the little peninsula there. I was thinking, I could make a painting out of that, and it's never really worked. But it was out there with my camera, just driving around looking for good scenes, and tide was out, and that was a game changer. That really brought the whole thing together. And so that area that we see in the foreground, all of that is basically where the tide's going out. So it's rocks, mud, what have you, but it's not sandy beach, and I think that was that really helped me with the composition as well. Just have kind of just a slice. Now there's another thing, we're almost out of time, but I have some real sharp pointy shapes there, which normally I would have softened, but here I decided to leave them like that because I felt like that worked fine, that was about where, that was the area of sort of greatest contrast, where the lightest light was. So I thought, that's okay, it's fine, we're going to leave it. And so that's what I did. Last thing I want to talk about is, oh, you know what, I just appreciate you coming around. Thanks for that. I really, I love sharing my work, and it makes me feel good to know that people are getting something from it. If you want to help me out in return, I got a store on my site. You buy yourself a little painting, I keep those little minis really pretty reasonable, 125. I go even cheaper except for shipping. Yeah, pick up one of those, or there's a donation section, or you can join the members area. Members have access to the same scene being painted in real time at 4K with no ads, and that's $6 a month, so that isn't going to break anybody. Anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. stay out of trouble. And God bless you and your family.